Welcome to Moving Mom and Downsizing Dad, the podcast that prepares you for one of life's toughest yet inevitable moments, stepping in when your parents need you most. Hosted by Chris Spade, a senior real estate specialist with Keller Williams Realty. We'll dive deep into more than just moving. We're talking smart financial planning, making tough decisions with confidence, and strategies to avoid being caught in crisis mode. Join us for real stories, expert insights, and actionable steps to stay ahead of the curve. Now, here's your host, Chris Spade.
And welcome back to Moving Mom and Downsizing Dad, the podcast that helps Gen Xers navigate the emotional and practical journey of supporting our aging parents. I'm your host, Chris Spade, at Keller Williams Realty, right here in San Diego, down in Mission Valley, and I'm also a senior transition specialist. Today, we're diving into a topic that comes up all the time. How do I access money when the estate is tied up in probate? Now, if you've ever been stuck waiting for months or even years while trying to cover urgent expenses like home repairs, legal fees, or just daily life, then this episode is exactly for you. Now, I'm being joined by Marc Harris, CEO of ProbateCash, and Marc is also an attorney and a leading expert in probate inheritance advances. He's here to explain how families can unlock equity from an estate before the probate is finalized and how it's helping adult children just like you and me take back some control during a stressful time. Marc, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very good to be here, Chris.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I did have my estate planning and probate attorney on, and one of the first things she said is the minute we file the probate, we're just at the starting line. And she goes, you're going to be my client for about 2 years. So, that's the way we operate here in California. So let's dive into it. First of all, let's talk about what is ProbateCash and what drove you to start focusing on ProbateCash advances in your legal and executive career?
Sure. So I've been an attorney now, almost a recovering attorney for about 30 years. So starting as an attorney in business with companies that provided upfront cash in exchange for future payments out in the future, right? So payments out in the future. Those could be lottery prize payments, structured settlement payment rights, all sorts of future cash flows that people couldn't access. And so our companies were those companies that could access those future cash flows and provide upfront money today. Probate just turned into be one of those natural cash flows that not many people know about. Not many people know about probate. Mm-hmm. And so when I had just my friends who are lawyers who dealt in probate would always be complaining about how long it takes to complete a probate, even a simple probate, and having to deal with the real life circumstances of their clients or the beneficiaries of clients who were wholly unprepared for the year to more wait to receive their inheritance, had no idea to what probate even was, let alone the process. So we had folks who, mom and dad passed away, and they went to the bank to go see if they could withdraw mom and dad's money from the bank account, or went to a realtor to sell the property. And for the first time, they were asked by a banker or a realtor, can I see proof that you have legal authority to act on behalf of the estate? Letters testamentary. Right? So they had no idea what the banker or realtor was talking about. And so next thing they knew, instead of not having money now, they had to go find a lawyer and sometimes pay a lawyer upfront fees, of course, and then learn that it could be a year, 2 years, if it's simple, before they're going to be able to actually get their inheritance.
Yep.
During that time, they would call the probate attorney saying, why is it taking so long? Why can't I get my money? What can I do? And the probate lawyers don't have an answer for it. I mean, they're just, it just takes time. But creditors don't realize that for the beneficiaries and other folks. So, the money becomes incredibly important, not just for the beneficiaries who need money to live day to day, but also for the estates themselves who are looking to prepare estate assets for sale and probably need money for renovations and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Here in California, and I'm sure it's like this everywhere. There's a very specific timeline and people just don't get that timeline. And, if I think we have 3 probate judges in San Diego County. So if one is sick, it just throws the whole thing off. Right. So it takes a lot longer. Yeah. It's just crazy. So how can adult children unlock equity in a parent's estate using ProbateCash?
So what we're looking for is to understand what their inheritance is. So we're purchasers of inheritances, and we're usually purchasing a portion of the inheritance. We don't want to buy the entire inheritance. We like to keep people engaged in the final result. So, and oftentimes what our customers look like is mom and dad have bought a house in Southern California in the 1980s and paid $300,000 for that house in the 1980s. They've passed away, and today that house is worth 7 figures. But the parents and the family never did anything to really gain generational wealth. They were always living paycheck to paycheck, and this is the main asset. There are very little liquid assets of the estate. And so the main asset is going to be sold most of the time, and that's usually the estate property. And so what we're looking at is indeed, is the estate property going to be sold? Is there equity in that property? And then for the adult children, what is your inheritance? What is your interest? So if there are 3 kids, presumably it's 1/3 each, but not always, right? And sometimes somebody may be disinherited. Sometimes there's surprises and there's a challenge. So a challenge to the will or a challenge to the adult child's inheritance they thought was guaranteed. So that's when we come in. We will take a look at the case, the probate case, and then make a determination that person, our customer, is indeed a beneficiary. What is their anticipated inheritance? And then we will make an advance against a portion of their inheritance when they actually receive it. So our advances are non-recourse. And so I was saying you're not even sure whether you receive it. So what does that mean to somebody who we're talking about? These aren't loans. We don't have interest rates. We don't have a schedule of payments that are due to repay us. And we don't take collateral. And so if we're not worried about credit, if you don't have a good credit score and you couldn't get money from a bank, or you don't have time to get approved for a loan from a traditional source, our company is a company that can make an advance. And so these are non-recourse advances. So again, what does that mean? A non-recourse advance is when we make an advance to a beneficiary of an estate. That advance, if it's not paid back to us for reasons other than fraud. So let's say that the estate house turns out to not sell for enough money to pay back the advance after other cost expenses. We'll receive what we're owed if there's enough money. But any shortfall, or if we can't get paid, we don't get paid, and we have no recourse. Meaning we don't sue you. We don't go after you. We don't go after the estate or anybody else. That is a risk we take, and those risks include challenges to the will, creditors. So there's creditors that come in all the time. There could be Medicare. There could be other kind of issues, especially in California, and those can adversely affect the inheritance of each beneficiary, if not wipe it out altogether. And we have real life examples of, unfortunately, where that's happened, where we've made advances to beneficiaries who turned out to not receive any inheritance. And they're fortunate enough that they took an advance from us because they did get some money out of it, and they did not have to repay us that.
That's interesting. So when you talk about advances, I was looking at doing my research. You offer up to 30% of the expected inheritance. How is it that you determine the percentage when you're evaluating somebody for this advance?
Sure. So sometimes we can advance more. It depends on the stage. So it's a tricky business. It can be a tricky business. I think we've gotten pretty good at it. But when a probate case has different stages. And so when you first hire a probate lawyer to open up the probate case, right now you're just filing a petition. And you can't really verify the assets of the estate because nobody yet has the legal authority to do so.
Correct.
So once the probate case is filed, then one of the beneficiaries will ask to be the personal representative of the estate, maybe multiple, and that could be the first argument in the probate case.
And it often is.
Yes. So then the next step is finally somebody will become the personal representative. Now during this process, we will still make an advance. So we're making advances off, a lot of times mostly blind, we'll make an advance, but we won't make a large advance at the very beginning because we're blind. We want to see what's going to be going on in the case. So the petition can be filed. We don't know if there's going to be a fight over who's going to be the personal representative. Once the personal representative is appointed and then can verify the assets, all that money you thought was in the bank account may not be an estate asset. Maybe there's already a beneficiary. Maybe that account has no money in it. You just don't know because you can't legally check on it.
Yep.
And so that's when we're really learning what assets are in the estate and which each beneficiary would then reasonably be anticipating to receive at the end of the probate process. Then there's the step of the creditor's claims period. And that is when all the creditors of the estate, that means that most people may not know this also, lay people, but when somebody passes away, your debts do not pass away with you. Probably
nope, they do not.
Yeah, so
they stay with you.
They do. That's the one thing is the two things are unavoidable: death and taxes, and also the debts after you pass away are not going anywhere. They will. And so it is the personal representative's responsibility to go to all the potential creditors and let them know that the decedent, the person who's passed away, and now creditors have the ability to go make a claim against the assets in the estate, and that could be anybody who believes they're owed money from the decedent. So it could be the car company who sold mom and dad the car. It could be Medicare is a big one, of course. Medicaid, California has a statutory right to that, or any other claim could be made. And so until that period is over, we don't know what what could possibly be out there that could again reduce the inheritance, or even completely wipe it out. Again, we're still making advances at this time where there's a risk that we will take on, but it is not, we're not going to necessarily provide an advance that is 50% of the inheritance amount.
Right.
Now, once the claims period has passed and we know what claims there are, and we're getting a little bit closer to the end, we can start being more aggressive with our advances. And we can start, so if beneficiaries need more money, we can do that. And, we do see the house, the estate property is usually as I mentioned earlier, is the big asset. And so one thing that we don't know, however, is usually the condition of that estate property.
Correct.
So while competitive offers, comps in that neighborhood may suggest a property is worth $1 million, once you walk inside this property, it may be worth $700,000.
Yep.
So now that is not good for any of the beneficiaries. However, $25,000 to $50,000 of improvements to that house may make it back to where it's worth the $1 million price in that neighborhood.
Yep.
So that's another important reason why we provide advances.
So let's talk about the user experience and the journey from the time somebody makes an inquiry to receiving funds. What does that look like?
Sure. So if your listeners contact us and say, I really need money, we're looking again at, what status is the probate case in? Usually we can tell, let's say that at least you've talked to a probate attorney and have opened up the probate case. So the probate case is now open. We will talk to the probate attorney and try to get a little bit of understanding of what the situation is. We make our best guesses at that time. We try to anticipate what kind of claims there may be. And we have a bunch of underwriters here who are paralegals who have a great deal of experience in probate. So usually we can do that all within 1 business day, 2 business days. So as soon as we talk to somebody and they need money, we make a determination of what they would qualify for. How much of an advance would somebody qualify for immediately? And then make that payment immediately. So we understand what kind of business we're in. We understand who our consumers are. A lot of our customers are people who do not have good credit. They don't have access to cash on their best day. And we understand and empathize what that's like. And so our company is here to provide that void where traditional lenders or other folks just aren't willing to make those kind of upfront money advances.
So since you're not using credit score or anything like that, and you're kind of basing it on the timeline of the case, what other eligibility criteria do you use?
Sure. So we're really, again, still looking at the asset value of the estate. So once we have the, let's say that there are 4 beneficiaries and they're equal beneficiaries, or they're each entitled to 25% of the assets. And we know that a house is going, we've talked to a realtor of the house. And by the way, we get a whole bunch of referrals from realtors, as you can imagine, because it's good for realtors to be able to at least let their clients know, just like it's good for attorneys to let their clients know, that our service exists, that it's out there and can provide money so people don't make poor decisions, desperate financial decisions. So, for instance, if you're a realtor, if you want to sell a house that may be worth $700,000 instead of $1 million because of the condition it's in, and then somebody comes around with a cash offer of $500,000. If you have no money, $500,000 is attractive. And then your beneficiaries are each getting $125,000 roughly. They're really not going to get that much after costs and expenses.
Yep.
But think of that as opposed to, well, if it's worth $700 and I can put some money into this place and the realtor knows how much it will pay. Realtors are excellent partners because they understand the value of the property. And they say, well, for $50,000, you're going to get $300,000 more value of this property. You'll be able to get $1 million. And that's $250,000 per person. That's an incredible difference. And so that's why realtors like us, and it helps everybody. It helps commissions on for realtors. It helps beneficiaries get more money. It really helps everybody except maybe cash buyers. But they're looking to make a quick buck by getting the property at a distressed cost. And it's not just the property that's distressed, it's the people that are distressed. And we're trying to take care of the latter.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to mention in California, the probate attorneys are paid on the gross sale of the estate. So if the gross estate value is $1 million, but there's 800,000 in debts, the attorney's still being paid on that gross. So anything that you can do to, make the home more attractive, particularly, it benefits the estate as a whole, I think.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great point. And the beneficiaries really, we want beneficiaries to make incredibly informed decisions when they're coming to us. And that involves talking, if it's a personal representative, talking to the probate attorney, talking to their lawyer. If not, if it's just a beneficiary, what are their goals with this advance money? And making sure that they just understand everything. In fact, we even do a recorded call with our customers before we pay them to make sure they understand it.
So that's another good question. It was kind of leading me down this track I had. So when you are giving the money to somebody, are you kind of coaching them and saying, this is how you can add value, or are you kind of giving them advice on what to do with that? If that's what they're looking to do, or if I imagine just some people just want the advance to take the advance, right?
Most of it is need-based. People are contacting us because they either really need money desperately against their inheritance that they were counting on that's taking a lot of time, or they, there are a whole bunch of reasons why people always want money. Money's not going to go out of style. But But what we do is we don't give advice for people. We're not their advisors. We're not financial advisors. We're not their attorney. But we do want to make sure they understand what they're receiving and what they'd have to pay back. Now, of course, what are some of the benefits? The more we learn about beneficiaries, or especially the personal representatives, sometimes there's a slim window to invest in something or make a purchase, make a schooling, whatever it may be. And that window is going to close, and this is their only chance to do it. They don't want to lose that opportunity. But we're really pretty much just saying, hey, we can purchase a portion of your inheritance. You're in the best decision to determine how to use it, what's in your best interest. And we certainly encourage all of our customers to seek professional advice. Do they have a lawyer that they can talk to, or any other professional advisor, to make sure it's right for them?
So we touched on this briefly, but it brings me back to a question that I had. So let's say, like, for me, I have my brother and sister, right? And let's say that, my dad has a trust, but let's say he doesn't, and it goes through probate, right? Let's say it's going through that probate process, and one of us, I decide I want to access your services, but my brother and sister don't want to do that. Is that an option, or is everybody all in? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's common what happens. So in that situation, the answer is yes, we can do business with you as a beneficiary. We do not need cooperation from your siblings or anybody for that matter. We really don't even need cooperation from the probate attorney. We do business under California's probate code. So there's an actual law in California, the probate code, that governs your assignment of an inheritance to our company in exchange for an advance. And I have the code. It's probate code section 11604.5, 11604.5 of California's probate code. And as you can imagine, it's very consumer protection oriented. Make sure that consumers are protected. Our contracts are mostly in plain language. You don't have to have a law degree to understand them, but I still encourage people to talk to lawyers to discuss it. The payment schedule is very clear of how much we're giving and how much is owed back. We do this in the courts, the California probate court. So we file your inheritance with the court. So your siblings may learn about the advance and the assignment because it's with the courts, and that's required by law. The courts want to see it. The judge gets to see it.
Yep.
The estate attorney gets to see it. California is pretty used to these. We've been doing these for a long time in California, so the judges have seen these, and a lot of lawyers have seen these advances. So there's rarely ever a problem. But why we file it in court is because we want to make sure the personal representative of the estate knows to pay us when the case finally does close.
Yeah.
And, so
for sure.
They have that notice. And the probate attorney, actually pursuant to the probate code, that law, has to include ProbateCash in the order for distribution pursuant to the law, so that we're in that order, and so the personal representative also knows to pay us back.
Yeah. So you just keep leading me down this path into my next question. But so that leads me to, are there any regulatory or compliance frameworks that govern inheritance advances?
Yeah, so California residents are really fortunate. We do business in almost every state in the country. California is one of the only states that has a law that makes it crystal clear how to do these assignments. And that's that 11604.5 of the probate code in California. Because of that probate code, we are actually able to make quicker decisions in California to make an advance. Most people were qualified for higher advance amounts in California because of the statute. Like any business, regulation actually makes things easier for everyone. It's always good to have rules. When there are no rules, there are no rules. And so then you could say, well, wow, there's nothing that I can't do if there are no rules. Yeah. It's good to have a rule book. Monopoly figured it out right away. It's good to have rules.
They did.
And so we follow those rules, and that's the California Probate Code 11604.5. And we then are because of that statute, we're able to then feel good about our advances that we make. They're still non-recourse. And in fact, the statute is very clear that our advances are non-recourse. So our advances are still at risk of creditor claims or other claims. So as long as our beneficiaries, our customers are not committing a fraud, if there's not enough money there to pay us back, they don't have to pay us back. We get what they are entitled to up to pay us back, so for repayment. But if there's a shortfall, we don't come after them. And then most important for your siblings, let's say there is that shortfall. So let's say that you've assigned $200,000 of your inheritance to ProbateCash. And it turns out at the end of the day that after a creditor claim or other issues, that everybody's inheritance is going to be $100,000. Mm-hmm. You owe us $200,000. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, it's non-recourse, meaning you got our $100,000, Chris, and you don't have to pay that $100,000 back, nor do you have to go find a way to get another $100,000 to make us whole of what you would have owed us. For your siblings, they don't have to worry because it's non-recourse, and we're not a creditor of the estate. These advances are just contractual between us and you, beneficiary Chris, who is taking the advance. And so we also do not go to the estate and say, hey, wait a second, there's the shortfall, and sibling 1 is getting $100,000 and sibling 2 is getting $100,000. You guys need to pay us $100 of that $200,000 because your brother took this advance. That does not happen. So our advance to you does not affect any of the other beneficiaries, nor does it affect the estate at all.
So it sounds like there's not really any legal implications unless you commit fraud. You're knowingly committing fraud, right? And what about tax implications?
So I'm always hesitant to discuss taxes. That should be something that you also talk with your own advisor. But overall, I mean, there could be estate taxes that the estate has to pay, and that would reduce everybody's inheritance. In fact, that's a risk that we usually take on because the estate tax reduces everybody's inheritance and could affect repayment. For the most part, inheritances are not taxable. And so our advance to you is not taxable. We do not issue a 1099 to our customers. And so it is basically it's a tax-free transaction. If you have questions, I always admonish folks to talk to their own professional advisors, but just like you wouldn't be taxed on receiving your inheritance, if you could receive a $100,000 inheritance, you would get that $100,000 and it's not taxable. It would be the same with taking the advance.
Oh, that's cool. So what's your top recommendation for adult children that are considering using and tapping into the equity through ProbateCash?
So I think that ProbateCash offers an incredible option for people who need money. What I do think is important is to, like anything that you're going to sell, buy, any decision you're going to make, it's a big decision, depending on what you're using the money for. We've talked about our non-recourse. We've talked about the risk involved from our company when we purchase these advances. Sometimes we don't always get paid back. These aren't loans. We have no collateral. So we're kind of just hanging out there. As a result, our fees are not cheap. Our fees are expensive. And so our fees can start at 25% of the advance amount and increase from there depending upon when we get paid back. So it's really important to understand one, how much money you're going to have to repay us. And then, and remember, this goes before the court too. So it's not like a judge can't intervene. So the judges have all deemed that our fees are reasonable, but they are high. And so would I use this money if I needed money for day-to-day necessities? Yes, I really do. Well, I would, maybe because if the day-to-day necessity is paying rent, maybe I would.
That's,
right?
Yeah, that's a good necessity. Yeah.
Not video games.
Yeah, not video games. No, not over my head when you said that. And I was like,
right.
No.
But today's day and age, my kids may think they're necessities, but video games are necessities to some, but they're luxury items to most of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you need money to put food on the table, or pay for your car, things that you really need to live, then it makes sense to do this. If you need money to increase the value of the estate assets, which will in turn increase the inheritance for all the beneficiaries, yes, it seems like that is a good reason. If you're looking to take your girlfriend or your wife and kids to Disney World or to Vegas, probably not. Yeah, that would be a really bad reason to do it, because the fees are expensive. We're going to be more than a credit card rate, most likely by the time you have to pay it back. And so those are the kind of things that you should think about. So I would suggest that while we are a very good source of providing money to people who need it against their inheritance, know why you're taking the money, have a specific purpose for the money, take what you need, and you can always come back for more. We can always do additional advances as well. And so I would, suggest that if you need $10,000 and you really need it, take $10,000, not 20. If you need another 10 later, come back and get $10,000. Yeah. But I would be, those were the kind of things that I would really want to examine before I took the money. And if you want to talk about it with your other beneficiaries, that's fine, of course, or with anybody. But again, the other beneficiaries do not have to be on board or in agreement. Sometimes our customers do not have good relationships with their siblings.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen that happen multiple times. Yeah.
So my wife is a divorce attorney. That's all she does. So I hear all the nightmare stories of divorces. And then I'm thinking, probate's kind of like the cousin of divorces.
They stand next to each other in the hallway.
They do. Once in a while, I'm like, that story's pretty bad, honey, but I can probably equal one of those.
Yeah.
Let me tell you my stories. So so in those situations, we can still make the advance. So not only do the beneficiaries have to be on board with it, but if any of them oppose it, that really doesn't matter, especially in California where there's a statute. So you really do. People say it all the time: take control of your financial future, of your finances. When it comes to your inheritance that is out there somewhere, some portion of it seems to be out there, but you can't access it. We give people the opportunity to take control of that inheritance.
Excellent. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you think that we should talk about?
It's really I'm an attorney, and I know there could be lawyers here listening as well. Our company, I make sure that the employees, the people who work here and have the day-to-day communications with our customers, and also lawyers, because we do talk to the estate attorneys usually before making the advance, that our internal folks really understand the job of lawyers. We understand the job of realtors. We understand the job of professionals out there.
Yeah.
And so we also understand our own customers, and we understand how there is this mutual benefit to the professionals and to our customers. We are very careful to talk up realtors. We're very careful to talk up the attorneys. We know that probate delays are hardly ever the cause of attorneys. Delays in sales of a home are hardly ever the cause of realtors. Everybody is really kind of on the same page, which is to get this done as quickly as possible. When we talk to our customers also who, a lot of the times our customer is not the personal representative, and especially if that person has a poor relationship with the siblings, one of whom may be the personal representative, it's difficult for that person to get information of the probate case.
Yeah.
So they may call the lawyer. The lawyers don't call them back necessarily because they're not their client. That's all. And the personal representative doesn't. So it's not anything that is bad for the lawyers. And that's what we'll make it clear. Hey, you're just not the lawyer's client. Call the personal representative. Oh, my brother doesn't talk to me. Well, that's tough. But once we provide an advance to somebody, we begin following the estate case in the probate court, because we now have an interest in it. In fact, we're an interested party in the probate case. So we will be getting notices in that case. And so if the lawyers are not able to give you information, or you don't have a relationship with the personal representative, we can tell you what's going on in the probate case. We can tell you, the customer, how things are going and keep you updated what is the anticipated time of this finally ending or not. And so that takes the pressure off everybody. The customer's finally getting information. It'll stop maybe some calls and rough communications to the attorneys, to the realtors. So we're in it to basically help everybody. Number one is to provide money to people who really need it, but also give the realtor a chance to breathe and try to get the best deal for the beneficiaries by selling the house for top value, to help the attorney have room to work and do her job.
Yeah. The good news here in California, you can follow a probate case online. We can just look right up online, and it says when the next court date is, what happened at the previous court date. You just look at documents. So that is the good thing about probate here in California. You just pop, and you can just look it up online.
And we're good at that. And because of that, we can make very quick decisions on advances, on what somebody is eligible to receive, and then we can make the payment on those advances quickly. So usually within a day, 2 business days. And then if it's somebody that we've worked with or multiple beneficiaries in the estate, so we've already kind of done our homework in the estate, other beneficiaries get paid the same day.
Nice. Marc, thank you so much for sharing your time and giving families options, because I did not know about this as an option for families until I got your email. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris. We're very excited. We always love to hear that people didn't realize that we existed, because that's yet another tool for everybody to know that they can use. And hopefully realtors, lawyers can say, hey, if you really need money, call ProbateCash. You're in good hands. And then it's really up to the consumer.
Exactly, Marc. ProbateCash.com. People can just go there directly. And
sure. And my email address is Marc, M-A-R-C, at ProbateCash.com. That's M-A-R-C at ProbateCash.com. And my phone number, my direct line is 561-476-0018. So that's my direct line, but certainly go to ProbateCash.com. I pick up the phone. I answer all questions pretty quickly in emails. So even directly from the consumer, your lawyer, your realtor, whomever it may be.
That's awesome. So we get you that's awesome.
For better or for worse, you get me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you found this episode full of knowledge, then please do me a huge favor. Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and share this with a friend or sibling who's walking through that probate process right now, because this is a valuable tool that you can use to access some cash. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.